Hey kids, I have this giant coloring book that I picked up. Actually, after I bought your mom's book, I thought it looked really cool, and I bought myself one. So it's this big book. I've been working my way through it. As soon as I looked at this picture, I could see the colors that I wanted to color the characters in the picture, the moose and everything. So that's why I picked it. Anything that I think I want to keep white or a really light color, I'll actually color it with my white pencil. And then after I color white, which will be for days, then I'll start actually coloring in other colors. I bought Crayola color pencils, and I like to separate them with the warm colors and the cool colors. Then I have a little dish to put my shavings in. Of course, I have a pencil sharpener, and I have a lot of erasers. It turns out this is my new favorite eraser. It's like a pencil, but it's so fine erasing, I can really fine tune with it. Another thing that I have is, I don't know what these are called. I call them smear sticks, and I use them to smear the color. One thing that I've realized with this particular artist is sometimes she puts stuff in, like for instance, all the stuff she's got all over this nose. I'm going to take this white ink pen and I'm going to white that out. I don't like it. I think it's ugly. I think it takes away from the character of the moose. And so I'm going to delete it literally with my white ink pen. So I have that. Sometimes the gray ink pen, certain colors, gray actually works better to delete the color. So I also have a gray ink pen. I made a color chart. I just took all of my color pencils and I colored them so I could see how they feel. I tried to do a scribble where I did really hard and then faded out to light so I could kind of see the color variation I might get with every color. Just gauze pieces, and I have a technique where I smear using the gauze, and it really makes even though I'm using colored pencil, it kind of camouflages my pencil marks. I have a piece of paper that I just, whenever I'm testing color or two colors together, you can see where I've tested two colors together or what a color would look like. I'll just scribble it on another piece of paper and see how they look together before I actually color my picture. So I've already started coloring white. You can't really tell where I've colored white. This particular picture, there's not going to be a lot of white, so I'm almost ready to actually get started with my other colors. The first thing that I do after white is actually my other light colors, which seems intuitive. Sometimes I don't see what color something's going to be until closer to the end, and it may be a light color, but that's what's great about my little pencil eraser is that if I need to, I can just go back and erase it. I've got some of my light colors colored in. I've got all my white colored in. I wanted to show you what I do whenever I'm coloring. So I have memories of being with my cousins and us sitting around coloring with coloring books. And I have an older cousin named Tammy that you'll probably never get to meet, but we used to sit and color a lot, and she was a much better coloring book colorer. And so it's really funny how sometimes whenever I'm coloring, I think about those times that I was coloring with Tammy. And Tammy colored like this. She could color really, really tiny circles, and so if you notice, it looks really good in the end. I get frustrated, I get tired of doing tiny circles, and it won't be long before I won't be doing tiny circles. And then I'll show you how I even out all of my pencil marks later. I started coloring it. I thought I wanted to go really pale blue, but around my son was, I want it to be really light yellow, and I couldn't tell it was light yellow. So I came back and I just started darkening more, and I'll do that. I'll color it one way and decide that it just doesn't look right, and I'll just change it. And that's the cool thing about just doing it for yourself is it doesn't matter how many times you change it. You can see a lot of pencil marks, and you can also see where I kind of get out of line. So first of all, I'm going to address just erasing everything where I got out of line.
wrathful exceedingly against them. And that sheep discovered it, and went down from the summit of the rock, and came to the sheep, and found the greatest part of them blinded and fallen away.
Oh, that sound in the background. I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm coloring, and so I'm listening to an audiobook, and I thought about not making it a part of this recording, but then frankly that would be a big pain, and also it's not natural. That's not how I really do it. If you were here and we were coloring together, we'd find something that we both like to listen to together. I have two techniques that I use to get rid of my pencil marks. One is I'm going to use the little piece of gauze I showed you earlier, the whole stack I have here. I'm going to rub it. The tip of this already has green on it, as you can see, but that doesn't really matter for my purposes because I'm going to use the gauze. And the gauze is just really a rough surface, so it's going to smooth out a lot of this. So first I'm going to just rub a little bit with the gauze and see what it does, and see how it instantly gets rid of some of my uglier pencil marks. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to use this gauze on all of mine. I'm going to try as much as possible to stay within my lines, and because I'll still have to go back and erase, but I won't be accidentally smearing where I was already out of line and make that worse. I have rubbed, and you can see the tip of the gauze. I've rubbed all of the blue and really smoothed it out, and you can see where I've really smoothed it out, but I've actually kind of rubbed off some places now that kind of look like I ever rubbed it off. If you can see really close around, I've already taken the eraser and I over erased in some areas, so it's really pale just around the edges. And because I want the sky to look like a really crisp blue winter sky, I want it to be a really nice consistent color of blue. So I'm going to now just go over it. I sharpen my pencil really sharp so I can get into the small places, and I'm just going to take my time and do little tiny circles right along the border where I over erased, and I'm just going to go all the way around all of my edges like this, and just try to make it all a much more consistent color. So you can tell already, just this little area that I've done, that it already looks a more consistent color. You can see that I've really got it smoothed out. I'm not real happy with this area over here, so I'll probably come back and just lightly shade it in until it looks more consistent. I don't know if maybe I got some body oil on this part over here or something, but it's just not smoothing out like the rest of it. I have my sky, really nice looking, and I've started on my trees, which are also going to be really light colored, but I'm also going to add some texture. So I'm starting with the lightest color, and these trees are actually going to have 2 or 3, maybe even 4 colors. I'm trying to figure out what color I'm going to add to my trees to give them texture. And so I just wanted to show you what I did. I took my color of my trees and I colored a base, and you can actually see I colored a big stripe all the way down. And then I came back and I did each color in its turn, and now I'm just looking at it and I'm looking at what colors I think I like together to go with the theme of what I'm thinking these trees should look like. Sometimes it's just a matter of experimenting around to see what I like and what I'm going to end up doing all the rest of them with. So that's what I'm working on right now, is just seeing what I like. I think I like how it looks, just kind of outline all the lines with a little bit of darker brown. I have this tree, my prototype tree. I have the shading. I think it looks pretty good. So now I'm just going to copy that shading on all of the other trees.
And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and she called her name Milcah. And she again conceived and bare a daughter.
daughter. She called her name Sarai. Haran was 42 years old when he begat Sarai, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the king and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to... And these are the sons of Japheth, according to their families: Gomer, Magog, Medai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras. These are the children of Japheth, according to their generations. And the children of Gomer, according to their cities.
Okay, so I just realized that I colored in a couple of leaves. So that's what's wonderful about this little pencil eraser, is it's really a really small, fine eraser. So I can just go back, and I accidentally colored in these leaves, and I can just go and erase it. Some colors are just go on better, and I really don't have to do a whole lot besides just take it slow and do little tiny circles like I watched my cousin Tammy do when I was a kid. I want these trees to be kind of a darker color, so I'm going to start with one color, and actually I'll rub it in and then come back with another color, so it'll look a little different from my background, but not a whole lot different.
Brother and sister, and I took this woman for a wife. And Abraham said, because I thought I should suffer death on account of my wife. And Abimelech took flocks and herds, and men servants, and maid servants, and 1,000 pieces of silver, and he gave them to Abraham, and he returned Sarah to him. And Abimelech said to Abraham, behold,
I colored it one color. I didn't like how it looked. It looks really flat, and this artist usually puts a lot of detail into her work. So what I'm trying to do is just add a little bit of texture by just doing little tiny scribbles. The trees wouldn't be just one solid color, even if they were far away. You'd be able to tell sun and stuff. And some colors, no matter how much you color and color and color, they just don't look good. This green, I'm going to have no choice but to smear it, because I don't want the grass to look like the tree. It's 3 different greens right there next to each other, so I'm pretty happy with how I have it now. You can distinctly tell that there's a lot going on there, even though it's all green.
When he had passed children unto his wives and his handmaids, and his daughter Dinah he put in a chest, and delivered her into the hands of his servants. And he passed before his children and wives to meet his brothers, and he bowed down to the ground. Yea, he bowed down, and Esau lifted up his eyes and saw the women with their offspring, the children of Jacob, walking behind Jacob and bowing along the road to Esau.
Okay, so I colored all the green on this color as the base color. I blended it, and then just to add some interest, I came back and I added some darker green and some of this actually red-orange. And now to blend it, I'm just using my same base color again to make it all look like it was on purpose and it's part of the same plan. One of the things that I do is I keep all the colors that I've used in my picture out. I do that for 2 reasons. First of all, in case I miss a spot, like, I don't know, right here, where it should have been a lilac, or I noticed right here is a little pink flower. And then another thing that I'll sometimes end up doing is I'll over erase an area that I've already finished, and it's nice to have all the colors I've already used just right there, easy available. So something I'm struggling with that I'll probably just come back and take different colors of green and try to just highlight and contrast is I have a lot of different plant life here that's in the foreground, so it wouldn't make any sense to do all this detail and background work and leave the foreground cartoonish looking. So I need to add detail to this greenery and make it not all quite look the same, even though the artist, it seems, really didn't bother. So it's going to be an interesting struggle. Like I said, I'm probably going to take some different colors of green and try to come in here and add contrast. One thing that this artist likes to do, likes to put a lot of stuff on the animals' faces, and I just go through with a white ink pen and I white it out. Anything that I don't like. I can show you some of my other work that I've done, and when she put a design that I really didn't like, I tried several other techniques to get rid of lines I didn't like, and I found that the white ink pen ends up working the best. This moose has been a really interesting challenge. So first of all, I went through and I colored what I thought I was going to leave white, and then whenever I started coloring in the background, which I'm going to have actually a mahogany color, I realized that I didn't like the way it was going to look with it being a lot of white. So now I decided, well, what can I make look man-made and what should look more natural. So I went through and I'm coloring everything that I think could be a metal with this bronze color, and then I'm just going to come back and I'm going to add a little bit of texture so it doesn't look real flat, because he's the main character of the picture, so he really should have the most lively look. So I'm finally starting to get some color differences that I like, that I think I'm going to finish the moose with. So I have a little piece of gauze that I've been working pretty much ever since I started this piece, and I've got it underneath another piece so I don't accidentally erase what I'm trying to actually blend. And then I'm just taking an eraser and I'm using it as a bigger point to blend with. I think I have the male moose at a point that I'm pretty satisfied. I just need to blend him and add a little texture. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the shading that I have here. I've added a lot of texture to the male, and I've finished out the goose, and I'm ready to move on to the female. But before I do, I noticed that the sun is shining rays, which means there should be kind of a shadow on this side of everything. So I'm going to go back with a gray pencil, and I'm actually just going to add in a little bit of shading on this side of everything that's on this side. This is pretty funny. I just noticed that somehow I missed coloring the leaves of this one little bit right here, and I just left it white. I'm working on her. I had already got a lot of her body colored when I went through and I colored all the light colors. She's not very big, so I'm really having to make sure I keep my pencil sharpened because it's real easy to get out of line with her. You can't tell, but I've really done a lot of erasing with her. She's taken me a lot of time because she's small. This is why I pre-color with white. I want these daisies to be white, and so I pre-colored with white, and it makes it much easier to stay within the lines and not accidentally color over my white that I want white. So that's actually why I go through and pre-color with white. So whenever I'm coloring around something that I want to stay white, even if I do accidentally color over it, it's real easy to erase it and make it go away. But it's even easier to not even accidentally color on it. So I don't like how this artist puts stuff on the animals' faces. So what I've done, I've gone through and I've just pre-colored, but I've been real careful not to actually touch the black. And that's going to be essential when I come back and try to color over this, because a lot of this ink is just going to wipe right off, and whatever I can get to stay in the paper but not block out my color from coming into the paper is going to make it look the least. And this is a technique that I just figured out on my own when I was working over here, removing the same silly thing from his face. I originally was trying to remove this right here, and it didn't go very well, and I think I just made it blend as well as I could with his face. But I used this technique over here on this part of his nose, and as you can see, it turned out a lot better. It's not quite the eyesore. And I also use this technique. I blended it so well you can barely see it, but she puts these little weird eyelash things around the animal's eyes, and I got that really well blended this time by using this technique. I think that's a much more feminine face, and that technique you can still see a little bit, but it's not nearly as noticeable as my older techniques that I was using. I was trying to make it darker, or just around the inner ring around this yellow, and I got my purple all over the yellow. So I went ahead and finished coloring what I was going to color, and then I'm going to come back and just really slightly erase. And because I already have my yellow down, I shouldn't actually have a problem getting all the purple off the yellow. Got everything colored in except for the grass, and the grass is a lot and it's in a lot of small areas, so I'm going to be coloring green for days. I'm just going to give you a close-up. After I color in all the grass, I'll come back and do more shading on the grass and more shading on the animals and make everything look like the sun's coming from the same direction. This is a lot of green to cover. Instead of just coloring it all, I like to start with just a small test area and see how I want the whole thing to look, and see if I've got the color the way that I want it, because that's a lot of area to color and then figure out that you don't like how you did it. Sometimes I get pretty far down the road only to discover that something is not going to work. This is one of those instances. I did all these little grasses, and I kind of colored them in with a lighter green because I wanted them to stand out whenever I finally color everything green. But in doing so, that lighter color coloring it so far down, it wasn't allowing a darker color to blend up. So I'm going to have to go back and erase just along the bottom line on all of these little pieces of grass so that whenever I color in the green, I can blend them a little bit. They shouldn't just stand out. They should blend somewhat. I have green. Green is my favorite color, and yet somehow I'm really tired of coloring with green. This is a pencil that I have never used, maybe once or twice in this set. And this is the green pencil that before this picture I had hardly used, and now I've used, I don't know, 2 inches off this pencil. I have a lot of shading to do, a lot of blending. I want to add some texture to the grass, but I'm not really sure what, it's really supposed to be kind of a background. So at this point I'm still kind of exploring what I'm going to do with that grass. Okay, I'm blending, and I'm really liking this green blended. I've used up some of these. What a difference a good rub out makes in the texture of a color. Here's just my little piece of gauze that I've been using to rub out, do the final rub out with my fingertip. I was going to add more texture to the grass, but I think that it might be just too much. So I'm going to add shading to the grass, but I'm not going to actually add more texture than is already in the grass. I wanted to show you that I do make errors. The first time I colored this area right here, I thought it was the leg, and so fortunately I was coloring very lightly, but it still put down enough of the red color that I just can't get this green to look right. But from far away, until I pointed that out, you would never know. Because I spend so much time when I'm doing this, I tend to eat and get food all over it. So a lot of the food you can't really see, but there are places that it didn't come up. Right here, I think this is chocolate, I'm not sure. There's a spot up here. So, it's a living document. I'm doing this for me. I'm enjoying it. I like filling out the detail. I like using my imagination, and it really pleases me when I'm completely finished with it and I just get to turn the page. I've added shading for the trees. Since I had the gray, I went ahead and started working on adding a little bit of depth to the mountain, to the snow. And a little trick that I use for parts that you're seeing between the branches, I put a piece of paper, and then I draw the line across it, so I'm not going right into the tree, but it looks like that little bit behind is a continuation behind the tree, so it doesn't just end at the tree. And this is really funny to me, so I'm going along. I think I'm almost finished with this picture. I'm just working out a little bit of shadowing and everything, and then I find this one little spot right here that has no color. It's never been colored at all. It's I don't know if you can tell, but it is still the color of the original page. The more I get the rest of the grass finished out and shadowed, the more this one little area right here that I had originally colored brown, really light, but still it was enough. I'm just not happy with the way it's looking, so I'm experimenting a little bit over here, and I think it's going to work if I I'm putting down blue, a really close color to this green, actually, a cousin to it. And then I'm actually going to go back and erase it, and then I'm going to put down not this color, not the color green that I already have on the rest of the grass, but I'm actually going to put this really light green down over this. And it won't be exactly the same, but it shouldn't be that gray color anymore. It should be more greenish. I just wanted to show the difference between quality of pencils. So I bought a 50 set of Crayola colored pencils, And this is from one time trying to sharpen this pencil, and inside the pencil the lead is already broken, so you sharpen and you get to a piece of broken lead. It was really frustrating for me because I have hardly used this gray pencil. Just from, it's probably been sharpened twice, and just from being sharpened twice because the lead's all broken inside the pencil, it's that short. That's a Crayola brand colored pencil. Then I wanted to show you Prismacolor, and this is not the highest priced you could buy, but it colors really nice. I've only bought a couple. As I need colors, I'll probably replace each one with a higher quality, but I just wanted something to get started. Or I may never do this again, who knows. This is just a higher quality. It's also really, there's a difference when you're coloring with it, the way it feels when you color. When you sharpen it, it gets really sharp, all the way sharp. This has actually been used enough to be sharpened twice. It gets much sharper. There's just a totally different feel with a higher quality. Now, if I was a professional artist or this was really important to me, I probably would only own a higher quality. But because this is really entertainment for me, I just have what I have. I am done. I'm happy with how it looks. I've got the shadowing. It looks like the sun is shining. I've got it textured and detailed enough that it's not just a flat color. I'm really happy with this. I hope you've enjoyed watching my techniques. Jim says it's interesting. I hope it really was interesting. Oh, I wanted to show you. So this is every color that I've used in the picture. And I tend to leave it out as I use it because if I erase and then I need to go back and touch up, I don't have to figure out what color I use. It's laying right there in front of me. I know it makes a mess, but it's all much more convenient that way. The whole time I've been coloring this, I've been naming it in my mind as I go along, and the last thing that I do after I completely finish is I go back and I name it. So I just wanted to show you that I named this one Newlyweds because to me this looks like a newlywed couple. I use a lot of different styles depending on what I end up coloring. Sometimes I color a lot of depth, sometimes I color everything a lot of depth, sometimes I just want the one thing, the one subject matter in my mind, like I did with Miss Henny Penny. If you notice, she has a lot of color and texture for a tiny character in this picture, and yet these big old lambs, they have no shading, no texture. They're just really two-dimensional. Their bodies are one color and the things on their bodies are another color, whereas Miss Henny Penny has shading and coloring, and she's actually 3 or 4 different colors. And her straw is 3 or 4 different colors, and her house is 3 colors. I put a lot of depth into her because she's my subject. So I do a different style depending on what I see whenever I turn the page and look at it and decide to color it. If I think I want a lot of depth, obviously there's a lot of depth, and if I think I don't, obviously there's not. And there's no one right way to color. Coloring is about having fun. See you next time.